Hey, everybody, and welcome to Jack's Treasures. I'm Tracy,
I'm Brian.
and we are Jack's Treasures.
That's right.
That's Jack.
That's Jack. This is our ongoing series of Q&A questions about the reselling community and our takes on all of these things. Now, these are just our opinions, so please leave a comment down below if you disagree or agree, or you have a question that you would like us
Or a comment.
that you would like us to cover. And hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you can, give to Stop Soldier Suicide. So
Check out the link below.
Yeah, so we could stop soldiers from committing suicide. All right. Today's question. What is today's question today?
Today is what?
That was totally bad.
That was bad.
That was awful.
I'm not editing it.
Yeah, I know. We don't edit.
That's
actually going to be one of our questions coming up.
I actually edited the last video because I had a huge coughing fit, and I didn't want to put that in the video.
She did.
So okay. I poorly edited it.
All right. So today's question is, what is the reselling community?
Yes.
I mean, you hear that term a lot of, what is a reselling community?
Let me preface off all this by saying that we have been reselling for me, over 25 years, for him at least 15 years, and until about a year ago, little less than a year ago, we had zero affiliation with the reselling community.
I'm gonna disagree with what she said there. I had zero. Sure. I had a zero, absolutely none. She did not. She actually did have a presence in the YouTube or in the reselling community. It was very, very small presence.
I watched videos. If you're a YouTube creator, a YouTube reselling creator, I probably watched your videos.
So what would be a reselling community? Well, obviously, a community is a group of people that have something in common, whether it's where they live, whether it's a common interest,
right.
whatever it may be. So a reselling community is a group of people that are like-minded in reselling items that they find wherever they find these items.
Well, as I was saying, we were not present in the reselling community at all until approximately a year ago. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we have an interesting take on the reselling community because we didn't, I guess, trickle into it. We kind of exploded into it.
What? We exploded into it.
His complete first take of the reselling community was showing up at a reseller meetup, and he was like, "Oh my gosh."
I'm gonna disagree with that one too.
Okay.
My first take on it was when we were sitting in a tire shop, and you said to me, "Hey, would you like to go to a reseller meetup?" I'm like,
"That's true.
What's a reseller meetup?"
But I guess where I've been going is we showed up at this thing, and what did you see? What was your first opinion of the reseller community?
It's a tough question because one, I was doped up pretty good because I had just had surgery that day. Okay, let's first off.
We're both taking this in different directions, apparently. We had different ideas here.
We did. All right. Yes, we were introduced to the reselling community through a meetup, and it was a meetup that was in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you to Ray, the Nashville Flippers. Yes. That's our first shout out. We're probably going to have about 100 of them in the show. Okay?
And if we forget you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. So what ends up happening is you got to remember, I have zero interest in the reselling community. To me, resellers were competition, and I was always, being that I came from being a teacher, being a soccer coach or an athletic coach, because I coach soccer, football, and softball. That's competition, okay, and you have to try to beat the competition. Now, okay, great. I never did any of the fighting stuff or anything like that. Okay, but what I took away from the reselling community from the meetup and our first meetup and our first introduction into the community is that this is way bigger than I ever thought. And not only that, it is more to a benefit to be part of a community than it is to look at the community as a competition or that they are an adversary. I've embraced that. I've literally done a complete 180. I mean, I'm sorry, not 180.
It's a 180. 180,
Yeah,
yeah.
a 180.
360 puts you
Complete.
back where you
Yeah,
started.
no, no, no. I'm not going back to there.
Yeah.
But a reselling community is a group of people that are all having a like-minded sense of what they're doing. And
Hmm.
not only that, but some are super, super supportive. Not everybody is like 100% on board with supporting other people through in a community. That's true. But for the most part, I would say, 80 to 190% of the people that are in a reselling community are in the reselling community to help other resellers to succeed. The one thing that my biggest takeaway from a reselling community, if you run the God's honest truth, is that there are plenty buyers out there for everybody.
Yep,
That's my
that's
that's my
100%.
biggest takeaway from a reselling community, because we've been full-time resellers, both of us, for around coming up on 9 years now.
Yeah.
Coming up on 9 years full time.
Where
So
this was our only source of income.
that's right.
And when I say that, I mean we didn't have money coming from anywhere. No YouTube, no
No.
secondary income. It was 100% reselling.
And we have a YouTube channel, and we've had a YouTube
You're on it
channel.
right now.
We're on it right now. If you're watching us on
Yes.
our YouTube channel. We've had our channel for over 6 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. But during that 6 years, I wasn't on board with the community part of the reselling. So our channels were focused on us.
Right.
And yes, I was out there trying to help people to buy storage units, even though that's my competition. And then, whatever.
But
Okay.
for him, it was just a like the reselling community didn't have a face,
Mm-mm.
and now it
She
does.
tried to get me to watch sometimes.
I did.
She would mention this here or there, because when I work, I would listen to music. And now I listen to music, and then I'll turn on a podcast. Then I'll listen to music. Then I'll watch somebody's video. Then I listen to music. Then I read about something on one of the groups, because the reselling community is an amazing thing. And the best part about the reselling community is that there is probably not a minute of a day that you cannot reach out to someone on in the reselling community, or doing research,
Mm-hmm.
and find what you're looking for somewhere.
And the community is not just YouTube. I mean, YouTube, there's people to watch all the time. There's a community on Instagram. There's a community on TikTok. There's a community on Whatnot. There's a community on Discord.
I just found out about that, by the way, literally today. Today, I asked Tracy, I said, what's a Discord? So, literally, okay, over 15 years reselling, coming up on 10 years as a full time reseller, and coming up on 1 year of being a member of the reselling community. And I didn't know what a Discord.
I know what a Discord is. I don't participate in any Discords. I think it's a cool idea, and I'm not averse to it. It's just never really worked its way into.
We're working our way into all of these things. Meetups.
Okay. Right now, we love doing meetups, but I would say the majority of our involvement with the community occurs on Whatnot, because we know Whatnotters, and then that has gone over to Instagram. Instagram's kind of become our little social media home. That is usually me. If you're on Instagram, 95% of the time that is me. But
not me. I mean, I get on Instagram every once in a while, and I'll look at things and scroll through, and but we can't do it all, because for me it's Whatnot and YouTube, being on podcasts.
He loves being live and talking with people one-on-one. Yeah. So that's definitely his thing. I'm a little bit more behind the scenes. Love the Instagram. Have my several little personal chats that I'm involved in, plus just the outward Instagram, commenting on posts and stories and things like that.
And people have always asked us things like, well, how do you get involved with a meetup? How do you get involved with a meetup? The very first meetup that we got involved with, we were sitting at a discount tire, where I was getting tires for my truck, which are expensive. So we were sitting there, and Tracy looked at me and she says, I found a meetup in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, Nashville's about 4 hours away from us. maybe 5.
And
just
we
depending
go
on the day.
there.
We go
from
there all
time
the
to
time. So it's not that big of a thing. And she said, "How would you feel about going to a meetup?" At first, I was like, "I don't care." That was literally my thing. Then my second thing is people wanted to meet me.
He thought that.
No, maybe people didn't want to. They didn't know me from anybody.
And
But
what's funny is I learned about this meetup not from the host. I actually didn't really watch his channel. I was familiar with him, but another creator was doing their like weekly podcast and talking about it and just mentioned it. I was like,
and who would that be?
That was the Bearded Picker.
Bearded Pickers. Shout
Yep.
out to Scott.
Yep.
Right, Scott, who I made a very bad impression with on the first time that we were there and stuff. Scott, I blame it on the medication.
Okay. But yeah, he's somebody that I usually put on his weekly podcast, and I just kind of listen to it while I'm working. And he brought it up, and then after that, I went and checked out the Nashville Flippers page and learned more about it. And I thought, maybe I'd heard about these meetups before, but they were always further out, and I'm like, I don't know these people. It's gonna be kind of weird.
Okay, she didn't want to go to these either.
Right.
She reluctantly came to me. She was almost literally waiting for me to say, "No, I don't want to do it."
Well, and it was because I was not involved in the community. I knew the community. I watched the videos. Occasionally, I might drop a comment, but I didn't do the lives. I didn't really chat. I was a nobody.
Okay, this nobody. I would. We go to the meetup. First person that we meet. All right, because this all stories all going to come around now. The first person that we meet were who?
Ken and Jill.
Ken and Jill. SSK Permo
and
Kacherka. Okay. Ken has a YouTube presence. He has a weekly show called Ken vs. 10. And he does a podcast with Corey from Grams and Pops Vintage called Unemployed for a Living.
Yes.
Okay. It used to be called the Reseller Clickbait Podcast. So we meet them in the hallway. How did we meet them? We were literally walking by their door when their door opened up.
Yep.
So we introduced ourselves to them.
Once again, realized that this man was on pain medication because he had just had surgery.
On pain medication was one, and on two, I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Not a dang person. So I could have run into Jesus himself in the YouTube world, and I wouldn't have known it. And as Tracy pointed that out to me a couple of times.
Right.
So
didn't.
No.
There was no difference from somebody who had 100 followers on Instagram and the hairy tornado. He didn't know a bit of difference.
So we meet them and we're talking with them, and we go to the lobby. I make a jerk out of myself in the first 5 minutes that I'm there. Meet up with a couple of other people. I know we met Scott, the Bearded Picker, who we mentioned earlier. I think we also saw
I remember speaking to Happy and Grumpy Picker. And the Rural Squirrel.
Yeah. And there was a lot of other people. Angie.
Yeah. Met her at the meetup.
So it doesn't go well. Okay. As a matter of fact, it didn't go well at all. The next day.
Because believe it or not, I'm shy. And he's high, basically, on pain meds. It rhymed, doing the whole poetry thing.
Oh, yeah, you're a poet, huh? So the next day they have this thing. Ray has this thing all set up, and you're supposed to, to do this. We didn't do that. No. Next day, he has another big thing going on. This Thursday when we got there. So Friday. The next day's Friday. No, we got there Thursday.
Okay.
All right. Next day is Friday. We go out yard sale, and we didn't do anything. Next day is Saturday. We did nothing with any of the group at all. And as a matter of fact, in the hotel, we never went out the lobby. We went out the back door.
We did great yard selling, though.
We did great yard selling. Then comes Sunday. And by the way, when we're up in the hotel room on the last and Sunday, we were talking about how this just wasn't for us. Yeah. The whole community wasn't for us. We weren't
going to meetups now. Not our thing.
Just me, and mainly because I was just so heavily medicated and I was out of it.
And I'm shy.
And she's shy. But we did meet people at the meetup, and we did enjoy the meetup, and that was a lot of fun. And we got the swag bag with all of the things, and it was great. Then at the end of the meetup, I was checking this out because Tracy sat into the truck. Yeah. So I go in and I'm checking this out, and I see somebody, and I went over and I talked to him. I was kind of rude because he was making pancakes. I was like, Okay, but I was very nice. I just wanted to thank him for his hospitality and politeness to us.
Right.
And long story short, which that's impossible, but he comes out to our truck, sees our stuff, and invites us to do a whatnot raid train. Which my response to that was, "What's a raid train?"
Right. This is also coming in the FAQ, I promise.
Yeah, mine was, "What's a raid train?" Tracy's response was hell
Yes.
yes. And so then we get in the car and we're driving back to Atlanta. Basically, the whole time we're getting back to Atlanta, we're super excited. So how we do this meetup was all set up online. It was set up by Ray, the Nashville Flippers. It was a Nashville Meetup 2024, and it was a free event. It's a scheduled event, and you want to stay at the hotel where everybody is staying at. And there are
Although
events.
I'm going to butt in and say that I've heard that that hotel is now full for this year, and people are staying at the maybe the Wingate nearby
Mm-hmm.
at this point. So
Yeah,
stay as
it's
close as you can.
yeah. Well, now we're doing a whole podcast just on the Nashville
I
meetup when we're
know.
supposed to be doing all the other meetups that we're doing too. But there are meetups that are happening probably, I would say, almost every month, and a great place to check. Great place to check if you're looking for meetups is Mike Medco Meetup on YouTube.
He has
He
a
has his
channel.
own YouTube channel based strictly on, and Tracy's going to put a link down below.
I am.
As a matter of fact, she's going to put a link below to Ray the Nashville Flipper, SSK promo, unemployed for a living, okay, and just about anybody else that we talk about. So she's going to be busy because
Well,
that's how I do her when she makes me embarrasses me, calling out the fact that I was high. But so
on payment.
doing a meetup or how to find a meetup, you can find meetups or a meetup, like I said, is a bunch of like-minded people that get along. I can tell you right now, after seeing some of the videos that we saw at the meetup we were at, that we didn't even do any of this stuff.
We missed so
We
much.
missed everything. They were going out partying, riding a bull. They were going out to eat. They went yard sailing together. Groups of people went yard sailing together, which to me, that's the thing that I really, really want to do because I love just being around other people and learning from those
But
things.
just from our experience of missing the entire meetup, we met enough people and made enough connections that we started kind of integrating ourselves. We started
She's
watching
right. The
those.
way that she worded that too is that we integrated ourselves.
We started going to people's whatnot shows. We started going to live shows on YouTube. We definitely started communicating on Instagram, kind of got involved in some little groups on Instagram and things like that.
Got
And
involved with Raid Trains, which we'll do a show on
mhm.
that
And
on whatnot.
over this past year, we've embraced the community, and thankfully, the community's embraced us.
Or at least her. Okay,
They
as
accept him.
everybody always says,
Embraced me and accepted him. How about that?
right? So these meetups, you can find them on Mike Medco meetups on YouTube.
Also, do hashtag reseller meetup on Instagram. I tested that out, and it came up with stuff about the Nashville meetup and some of the other big ones.
Yeah, there are a lot of meetups, by the way, and a lot of ones that we didn't know anything about, and there was a couple already from last year to this year. I know that there was at least one.
There's that 127 meetup.
Well, now there's two. The one that was in Dallas, also. But there's meetups that are happening almost every single month, from what I've understood. And we actually had a mini meetup
We did.
one time when we went down to Florida to work out a deal that we made with Paul the Philly Flipper. Shout out, link down below to Paul on the Move. And he arranged a little mini meetup because some people wanted to meet up with us. And now, from what I understand, that's become a little mini event where he's at.
We're excited to get back down there and meet up with those folks again.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that we want to meet down there and be doing a meetup. And okay, right now we're live. We're not live, but we're on YouTube. You're watching us on YouTube, and that's cool. That's fun. Whatever. But when you get to actually meet the people and you realize that they're real life people and that they're just the same as you and I. They everything about them is the same as you and I, and it's just an amazing thing. I get nervous, believe it or not. I get super nervous because it's like, man, I hope that I don't disappoint anybody or anybody meets us and they're like, oh, this guy's
So
a
far,
jerk or something like
even
that.
since the meetup, we did the mini meetup we talked about, and there's been two other occasions we've met with other resellers
Hmm.
in our area. We met Vintage Swifter and Lover Dogs up in Tennessee,
Link down below.
and we've met Apex Jeff up in North Carolina.
And
So that was super fun, and everybody that we have met has been the same person they were behind the screen, and that was
we actually
awesome.
met Jeff at the meetup
We
too,
did.
and then we met up with him again in North Carolina
Because we were just happening to be near his area. So
we actually made that happen. Jeff
we
said that he
did.
wanted to meet
Yeah.
us. We're going to be meeting some other people.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different meetups. Now, there are some very, very common meetups and almost like annual events. One of them is the Boss Meetup, I think, and that
It's
one
in
happens in Vegas.
March. Yep.
Okay. And yeah, we're not going to that one this year only because we're already scheduled to do the Planes to Profit Meetup, which is the
Same
second
month.
year
Yeah.
for the Planes to Profit Meetup. And that one's in Omaha, Nebraska, and is hosted, and it'll be linked below.
Speaking of that, that actually reminded me of another site I want to read link below, which is Garage Sale Nation.
Mhm.
That is Kevin the Commonwealth Pickers, one of his sites, and he links all of the big like long yard sales across the nation.
And there's a
And
lot of
there's
meetups
usually
with
meetups
those.
happening with that. We're trying to facilitate something during Peaches to Beaches because we're going to be doing that in March.
That's the second weekend in March. So we're going to be going to Omaha, Nebraska, which will be
Mhm.
my first time going to Nebraska, my first time going to a lot of places, Illinois. Well, no, not Illinois, but Indiana, and then wherever states whether we're going to go. But we're going to be doing that, and that is the second week, or I'm sorry, the last weekend of March,
Mhm.
and it's hosted again by
Grams and Pops.
Grams and Pops Vintage and
Inked Picker.
the Inked Picker, Alicia, and Corey and Teresa. We don't know anybody.
No.
Well, rephrase. I know Corey and I know Teresa because I watch their stuff, and I've talked to Corey a couple of times on the phone, and I've been on the show of the Reseller
And
Clickbait
just
podcast.
from interacting online with them, I think we're really gonna like them.
Oh, I think so too. But my point is that we've never met face to
Right.
face. So it's going to be something kind of special for that. And besides that, we're going to be meeting a whole more group of people that we've never really
Outside of our
interacted
normal
with.
group. As I mentioned, mostly we interact on Whatnot. And
Yeah.
this meetup tends to be people that are not quite as big in the Whatnot community. They're more like
Right.
eBay resellers.
Yeah. So that's a big one right there. And there's a lot of places where you can find this community. You might not want to do meetups. I don't want to do meetups. I can't afford to do meetups because some of meetups do cost money because of the events cost money. So the people that are organizing the events, they'll say, okay, well, this meetup costs for this much. Plus, you have to pay for tickets. I know, not Boss, but what was the one that the big one that's in Vegas? That was in Vegas. Oh my gosh, I forget which one it was, but that one you had to get tickets to.
Right.
Okay. The Boss, I think it might have been Boss Reseller Meetup a couple years ago. And so there are costs to some of those, and some of them, you might not have to do that. You don't have to go to a meetup to be part of the community,
Nope.
nor do you have to have a YouTube channel,
Nope.
nor do you have to have a Whatnot presence. You can go on Instagram and you can find communities on Instagram.
There are people that's pretty much
and
their
Facebook.
biggest presence is Instagram. They don't even do YouTube. They don't do Whatnot, but they're huge on Instagram. It all yeah, I mean it's different for everybody.
And there's Facebook groups. That's probably the easiest to find, is for me anyway, because it's so easy to search Facebook. But you go on Facebook and you can get onto a group, and then you can ask questions and you can find support. Because the one thing that I do know about resellers is that, and reselling in general, is it's very, very lonely.
It can be.
I'm lucky that me and Tracy are both resellers, so we resell together. We're married together. Others are not. They're individuals.
Right.
Dan and Demand. Shout out to Dan and Demand. Okay. So it's one of those things where you can find a group to find support, to find help. And once you get into that group, these people are, a lot of these people are more than willing to not only help you, but to bend over backwards to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Tracy and I were yard sailing. Okay. We got a phone call from Paul, the Philly Flipper. He calls us on the phone because we exchanged numbers, and says, "Hey, I got somebody who wants to sell some Star Wars figures." Now, Paul lives in a complete other state than I do. He lived about 10 hours from where we live. And he said, "This is what the guy is selling them for. Do you guys want them? I thought of y'all." Okay. Tracy and I went ahead and purchased them after Tracy kicked me in the leg. Okay. And we drove down to Florida to pick up those. Literally, Paul could have done this. Paul could have purchased this. He had plenty of money to purchase these, and Paul could have sold them probably for more than what we sold them for. Okay. Because he has a bigger presence on whatnot. But he was willing to help us out.
Yep.
Okay. So we drove down there, picked them up, had a little mini meetup, met up with a lot of really great sellers. And it was awesome. It was great. And we've had other people that have reached out to us.
I was going to mention on one of my little Instagram chats, we have, I don't know, I think there's about 8 of us that regularly chat on it. And everybody has different like main interests. You know, we have clothing sellers, we have antique sellers, we have toy sellers. I kind of am known as the video game person,
or everything selling.
things like that. And people will show something when they see it at a yard sale. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Is this a good deal? And it's awesome to have that, because I don't know crap about glass and antiques, but I know I can take a picture, pop it over there, and there's a couple of people that do, and they can help me.
Yeah. So basically, the biggest takeaway, and this has been way longer than we wanted it to be.
It usually is.
Really. And, oh, by the way, there is going to be a link down below to the Nashville meetup in 2025, and also we're going to be doing a meetup in Vegas in June.
I'm just going to preface this by saying I'm going to forget half these links, but there are going to be some links below, and enjoy them.
Yeah. The biggest thing is this, okay? If you take nothing else away from this, if you're still watching and you take nothing else away from this, take away this: you're not alone.
Nope.
And you don't have to be alone. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of sellers out there on the app. There are people that have been YouTubing for 10 years, 15 years, that are monetized, and that's a big portion of what they do is YouTube content. Not so much of the eBay selling content anymore, but you're not alone. Okay.
If you happen to be newish to reselling and you want to be part of the community, find me on Instagram and just say.
They can't say the Instagram thing.
Okay.
We're Jack's
It's Instagram at Jack's Treasure Trove, and just tell me, hey, I saw your video, and you know what? We'll be Instagram friends, and we'll get you started.
She loves being Instagram friends with a lot of people. I ought to know, because I'm unfortunately get these messages coming across the board.
He doesn't
and I'm
have
not lying. Since the phone, and we're doing it from Tracy's phone, the little message bar right over there went off at least 10 times since we've done this. There it goes again.
That's Whatnot.
Okay, that one was Whatnot. But please like, share, and subscribe. Leave any comments down below what you think about the YouTube, or not YouTube, the resellers community. Any experiences, tell us a story, any stories that you want us to share. We'll keep you anonymous if you like. But that's not funny.
It was to me.
It was not.
It was to
all
me.
Right. So like, share, and subscribe, and you all have a great one. Peace out from Jack Shoulders.
Bye.